Over the years, the SEC has even found, believe it or not, whiskey caskets, and the courts agreed in the 1960s were investments. And I think that at the heart of our securities laws was protecting investors against fraud. I'm not negative or a minimalist about crypto. I just think it would be best if it's inside the investor protection regime that Congress laid out.
How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I want to bring the interview from the SEC chairman who spoke to senators here today. He talked for 2 hours. I want to bring you the most important 4 minutes of it in terms of crypto. Now, if you guys like that, please leave a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. You know, hitting that like button, hitting the subscribe button lets me know that you guys like these kind of videos. Also, I do want to thank today's show sponsor, which is BlockFi. So you can get up to $250 worth of crypto bonus and an 8% APY with your account over there. They actually pay an interest. If you have Bitcoin, you get Bitcoin interest every single month. So you guys can check that out down below. That's actually where I hold the majority of my crypto, or a good amount of it. Also, there is a link down there to the BlockFi Bitcoin Back Rewards card. There is no annual fee, and they pay up to 3.5% interest on that for the first 3 months. So definitely check that out down in the description. Thank you again to BlockFi, and let's get into it.
I think I know your position, among other things, is that not all cryptocurrencies are inherently securities, right? That's true.
There are a small number that aren't, but I think that, as Chair Clayton said when he was in front of Congress, I think very many of these facts and circumstances are investment contracts.
So here's my concern. So some are and some aren't, is basically what you're saying. And I'm concerned that the SEC has not provided sufficient definition for, and explained how it would apply the Howey test, which I think is the court standard for determining when something is an investment contract. So, for instance, stable coins do not have an inherent expectation of profit. They're just linked to the dollar. Now, you might use them in an attempt to make a profit, but that's a second order activity. Is it your view that stable coins themselves can be securities?
I think that, Senator, they may well be securities. As Thurgood Marshall wrote in the Reeves opinion, in defining the scope of the market that Congress, wished to regulate, Congress painted a broad brush, and it actually included about 35 different things inside the definition of a security in the 33 Act.
I've just got limited time here, so I acknowledge that. Here's my problem, though. I think what you just said was that they may be securities, or that some are securities. To me, a stable coin doesn't meet the second prong of the Howey test, that there has to be an expectation of profits from the investment. And so if it doesn't meet the Howey test, it looks to me like it's not a security. Now, maybe you've got a good argument for why some are and some aren't. My whole point is, I think we need to have clarity on this. I think you should publicly disclose this. Apparently, there are private conversations where you work with people who are proposing particular structures and you give them advice, or your staff gives them advice. I just think we ought to have that publicly, and we certainly shouldn't be taking enforcement action against somebody without having first provided that clarity.
Well, Senator, this Congress could change the laws, but the laws that we have right now have a very broad definition of security, including a note, including an investment contract, and the like. And my predecessor, Chair Clayton, and others actually put out a lot of guidance with regard to the Howey.
I just got to push back a little bit on that. It is broad, but it's well defined. There is a very specific litany of the instruments that constitute securities. As you know this better than I do. Investment contract is one of them. And there is a court decision that lays out the prongs for what constitutes an investment contract. I'm just saying, as a layman who can read English, when I read those tests, stable coins don't seem to meet that test to me. Maybe I'm wrong, but if I can misinterpret this, I think others could too, and some clarity, public clarity, I think would be helpful.
I see the red light, but I agree with you that some of these tokens have been deemed to be commodities. Many of them are securities, and the Supreme Court has weighed in a number of times. You noted the Howey test. We've talked about the Reeves test was in the 1990s as well, has weighed in, and I think that there's a fair amount of clarity. Over the years, the SEC has even found, believe it or not, whiskey caskets, and the courts agreed in the 1960s were investments. And I think that at the heart of our securities laws was protecting investors against fraud. They get to decide, they get to take the risk. You'll find I'm not negative or a minimalist about crypto. I just think it would be best if it's inside the investor protection regime that Congress laid out.
So in the video, they talked about the Howey test. Now, this is how you determine whether something is a security, and they talked about an expectation of profit. I think it's very clear that we do need some better regulation and I'd say some better communication on what a security is. Now, the person that was asking him these questions is actually Mr. Toomey. He's a senator. He has actually bought into crypto himself. In this article, it talks about how he bought Grayscale Ethereum Trust and Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So he is someone that is really good to have on our side over in the Senate. And it is good to see him come out and say, hey, you really haven't disclosed what you're looking for in terms of what security is and what doesn't count as a security. So I think that is something that's really important for them to disclose to us as investors that are buying these things already. Now, that being said, we didn't see much movement on this testimony here today. We actually saw more movement on the CPI data released this morning, where the CPI data was actually a little bit lower than we expected, which is good for risk on assets, such as these different cryptocurrencies. Moving forward, I really would like to see some more clarification on what a security is in terms of cryptocurrencies. Now, whether that happens soon or whether that is still, a while off, we don't know at this point. But I think it is something that they do have to give us and something that we really want to know. Now, regulation in crypto is going to be good in the long run because we don't want the bad actors, the rug pullers, the scammers to continue to be able to rip people off for millions and millions of dollars. So that is going to be a good thing in the long term, but it probably will be met with some red days. Now, at this point, I'm still very bullish on crypto throughout the end of the year. I am very excited. That being said, if you guys want to know exactly what I buy, you can check out the link down below to Patreon. And if you want to know where I buy, you can see over on BlockFi, I do have a good amount of money. So you can check out the link down below to get an interest rate from your crypto through BlockFi. Thank you again for sponsoring part of the video. And let me know what you guys think about the testimony from Gary Gensler down below in the comment section. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.